Hi, this is Terry with Total Life Pursuit, and we are in week 2 of the emotional teachings. Week number 2. This week, I want to talk to you about toxic emotions. Could it be that when we allow our emotions that are merged with our toxic thoughts, could it be that we end up barely controlling a freight train of awful predictions? Think about it for a second. The person who struggles with rejection inaccurately predicts people's behavior towards them. They think they're rejecting them when they're really not at times. The person who fears infidelity constructs situations in their mind that trigger their emotions, that perpetuate their falsely constructed thinking, which releases a deeper emotional response. Does that hit home for anybody? I use those because they both hit home for me. It's both something in my past that those two things that I have struggled with. The first one quite a bit, the second one a little. Both had the same faulty thinking that produced the same faulty emotions. And that was that I'm not enough. I'm not enough for people, and I'm not enough for my wife. And that's where it all was. That's where it all sat. So, see, we are created to love. We are created to love others. We're created to love ourselves. We're created to obviously love our spouses and our children. And anything that is contrary to that love brings us into chaos. It puts us into a chaos. If it's incongruent with love, it sends us into chaos. Our bodies, our brains, our chemistry, physiologically, it sends us into chaos and out of balance. And you've been there, haven't you? I know I've been there. I mean, come on, man, have I been there. I could be a little emotional at times. Maybe you could too, and you've gone into chaos. So, if it brings you into chaos, it could be argued that toxic emotions that bring you into chaos produce a more powerful emotional response that produces more chaos in the brain and body. And then that starts a cycle of chaos and emotional responses that seemingly is never ending sometimes. And then it seeps into every area of our life. Let's think about this again. You can't control where your emotions go in your life, the toxic ones. Okay? It's not like, well, I'm just going to be bitter against this person. Oh no. That is going to grow. We'll talk about that in a bit. The remedy for all of this is a change of thinking and healing. We need healing. We need God. But look, I believe in a supernatural God. I believe in the miraculous. I have seen it over and over and over again. Even in people's psyche, I've seen them healed of things and just rid of things. Most of the time, God makes us go through a process with our own volition, our own will, our own discipline to get through, because that makes us into people going through processes, you see. So I think we have to go through a process to get rid of some of these toxic emotions. Listen, Dr. Candace Pert, a stress research pioneer, said, "In the beginning of my work, I matter-of-factly presumed that emotions were in the head or the brain. Now I would say that they really are in the body. No person experiences an emotion just in his quote-unquote heart or in his quote-unquote mind. Rather, a person experiences an emotion in the form of chemical reactions in the brain and body. These chemical reactions occur at both the organ level, stomach, heart, large muscles, and so forth, at a cellular level." There was a Harvard Medical School study of 1,623 heart attack survivors. It concluded that anger brought on by emotional conflicts doubled the risk of subsequent heart attacks compared to those who remained calm. The Harvard School of Public Health conducted a 20-year study that involved more than 1,700 older men. The study found that men who worried about social conditions, health, personal finances, so on, had a significantly increased risk of coronary heart disease. Dr. Hans Seily, an endocrinologist, was one of the first researchers to link emotional stress and disease. He reasoned that fear, anger, and other stressful emotions cause the adrenal glands to become enlarged by overstimulating the pituitary. In other words, too much stress causes the pituitary gland to produce an oversupply of hormones. And we know that an oversupply or an undersupply of hormones wreaks chaos on a body. Look, we're created to be at peace. We're created to love. Remember Jesus when he was asleep in the boat? That was a decent size. It wasn't a rowboat. There's 12 guys on the boat. So it was a decent sized vessel, probably 30, 40, 50 feet maybe. And Jesus was asleep. The fishermen who have been in that lake for a long time, they were afraid they were going to die. Jesus slept through it. Why? There's a lot of reasons why. A lot of good sermons come out of this one. Everyone was freaking out. They got him up and they said, "Hey, don't you care that we're all going to perish? We're all going to die. Don't you care?" Well, of course he cared. Now he calmed the storm. My question to us, though, is why could he be at such peace? Even when he got up, he was at peace. He didn't look around and go, "Oh, wow, this is really stormy. I was just sleeping through the tempest." No, he didn't do that. What he did, he got up, looked at his disciples, looked at the storm and go, "Oh, you guys, have a little faith." Faith in what? Faith in that you're with me. I'm not going to die, so you're not going to die. Because he knew what he was here for, and he knew who he was. You see, I think toxic emotions at their core are when we abandon our true self, our true identity, and who God has created us to be, and what he has created us to be, and the assignment that he has given us. When we freak out that we don't have enough money, we are doubting his ability to provide. Are you with me? I mean, this is true. This is real stuff. Toxic emotions usually are the product of what we think, like letting other people control us because what they have to say about us trumps what God has to say about us. Did you get that? How can a waitress who you don't even know, who gives you bad service, upset you? The only way they can upset you is you give them the power to upset you. You gave them the power to name you, to say something about you with the way they treated you. They dishonored you, so you said to yourself, "I am dishonorable." And that's why you're so mad at the waitress. My wife always says, they are the ones with the problem. She reminds me, she's such a good woman. She reminds me, it doesn't have anything to say about me when someone is mean towards me or reacts towards me or gives me an offense. It's not me, it's them that have the issue. But why do I have this visceral reaction? Why do you have that visceral reaction? Why do you get so upset? Why do you get upset when your spouse says something just like, whoo, red little button, if you're married, don't you know where the buttons are? You know where the buttons are. So why do you let your spouse cause that kind of reaction? And why do we say things, "You made me so mad"? Why do we say that? You made me so mad. Nobody can make you mad. Only you can allow anger. Are you with me? This is thinking. You got to think about this. Fear is the strong man of all toxic emotions. Most damaging toxic emotions are rage, unforgiveness, depression, anger, worry, frustration, fear, guilt, and grief. But fear is the strong man. I said last week, I'll repeat it, and research shows that fear triggers more than 1,400 known physical and chemical responses. This activates more than 30 different hormones and neurotransmitters combined, throwing the body into a frantic state. Fear, like every other toxic emotion that you can name, produces stress of the worst kind. Stress is the number one reason the following emotions that I'm going to go over are toxic. because they cause a stress response in your body. And next week we'll talk about stress. However, these emotions are not just toxic to your body, they're toxic to your soul, they're toxic to your spirituality, and they will be manifested in your life where you don't want them to be. So we need to take care of them. But first, we have to admit that we have them. We have to admit that we have I don't want to say predisposition because I don't believe it, but sometimes we have one that's running amok, or maybe two. Most people are not an emotional basket case where they cannot control any emotion. Most people can control most emotions except for one or two, maybe three, depending how they think. Okay? We like to believe that we can compartmentalize these, but as I said before, you can't. It's like trying to compartmentalize a bacteria that goes into your body. Well, I'm not going to get this virus. This virus isn't going to affect my whole body. It's just going to affect my pinky. Well, the flu usually doesn't work like that, does it? No, it affects the whole. Do you know that you have 5 times the chance of heart disease if you have hostility inside of you? And you're 7 times more likely to die by the age of 50. Hostility. You say, well, I don't have any hostility. Good. Because Ephesians 4:31-32 says, get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, brawling, slander, along with every form of malice, and be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Let me go through those one at a time. I'm going to save bitterness. Rage. So it's bitterness and then rage. An intense expression of inner anger. Anger, a state of strong displeasure. Brawling, shouting at someone. That's what that word means in the Greek. Shouting at somebody. You ever elevate in a fight? Just saying. Slander, speech that degrades another person. Conviction. I mean, this used to be my thing. Years and years ago, I was the best. I could argue and make you feel like an idiot for arguing with me because I would just slander you. I would just make you feel like a small person. I don't do that anymore, I hope. If I do, Holy Spirit, convict me. But the reality is, we do this in fights. We make the other person feel small in a conflict rather than being able to express ourselves in that conflict. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because our emotions are out of control. See, when you do that, your emotions are out of control. Or should I say, the emotions are in control. Unforgiveness. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 15. Unforgiveness is a root that intertwines itself into every fiber of your being, and resentment and bitterness comes from it. It's a byproduct. And bitterness, think about it like this. Having a bitter taste. So the next time you see that thing that left you a really bitter taste that was like, oh, that's terrible, you go, oh man, I don't want any of that. That's bitterness. When you see somebody, all of a sudden you have a little animosity toward them. You get that taste in your mouth like, yeah, I'm going to try to avoid them. Yep, bitterness. Hebrews 12:15. See to it that no one misses the grace of God and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble. There's 3 more words. And defile many. Why? Because emotions, toxic emotions, are never, ever, ever left to just yourself. They will defile other people somehow, some way. Some way we think we are this part of the body of Christ, right? Like I'm a hand, I'm a foot, I'm an intestine or whatever. And then we get bitter and we think, well, it doesn't affect anybody else. That is just nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense that when I have bitterness towards unforgiveness, that I'm really angry, that I'm slandering somebody, it doesn't make sense that the rest of the body isn't going to suffer. In fact, Paul says in 1 Corinthians 12, when one part suffers, all suffer. We're thinking about a stubbed toe and throws the body off and all that stuff. How about when one part is suffering with toxicity in their emotional self? Will other parts suffer? Absolutely. Is there a cellular communication through the body? We went through that last week. There absolutely is. We'll all suffer. So does that mean you shouldn't be around anybody? No, that means you should get rid of this stuff. The answer isn't to isolate. The answer is to get rid of it and have the life of Jesus flowing through you. That's the answer. So look, let me go through a couple other quickly toxic emotions. Offenses. Some people take offense at nearly everything and it eats them alive. Guilt, shame, or to be disgraced. Worry. I found this especially interesting. One of the, don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will take care of itself. That worry. To be very concerned about, with the implication of placing too much value on something. Apprehensive, unduly concerned. I like that. You put too much value on that. You put too much value on that. Anxiety is the root of worry. So did you see yourself in any of those? Well, I'm just a worrier. Well, then you've got problems. That's an issue. That's an emotion that's out of control. That's why God says, don't be anxious. Don't worry. Why? Because it messes us up. Because we're not supposed to worry as good Christians, so we can go around and not worry. No, because it messes us up. That's why He doesn't want you to do it. It messes you up, your body up. It messes your brain up. It messes your relationships up. It messes everything up. Then you go to counseling. It messes your finances up. It messes your church up. It messes your ability to bring the kingdom up. It messes you up. That's why He says, don't worry. Cast your cares on Him. That's what He says. Cast your cares on Him, on Jesus. This is life, people. This isn't condemnation. If you got some of these things, let's get rid of them. Let's deal with them. But before you can deal with an issue, whatever it is, anger or frustration or, explosions, before you can deal with that kind of stuff, you have to admit you've got a deal. But listen, don't get all proud that you can admit it either. I mean, admitting it is good. Some people, that's like unbelievable that you admitted it. Other people, it's like, oh yeah, I'm a worrier. Like it's no big deal. I mean, if I said, oh yeah, I'm a drunkard, what would you think? You'd think you need to be removed from the pastorate. And you would be right. So, worry's okay? I'm just an anxious person. That's okay? Why are some things okay and other things, and they're like human? Well, I'm only human. Good, yeah, I'm only human, so I do cocaine. I need to, I got to work hard, so I do a little cocaine. That is just, it's a stupid argument that you're just human. These things are to be gotten rid of. God wants to restore us. He wants to take our junk and He wants to give us His life. This is the great exchange. It's our stuff, our dirty rags, for His robe that is royal. That's what we did at salvation. He wants to continue to do it. I'm going to give you this, and I'm going to take this, and that's going to restore you back to where I wanted you, back to how I created you to be. And how would it be to operate in love and peace all the time? I don't know about you. I'm thinking it's good. How about you, Carissa? She agrees. Love and peace all the time. Okay. I want to talk to you real quick about emotional intelligence before we end. Emotional intelligence. How is it that husbands sometimes go to marriage counseling and their wife's like, yeah, okay, look, I'm ready to leave. And the husband looks at the wife and was like, what? Where did that come from? I didn't even know anything was wrong. I didn't even know you were unhappy. Okay, that's because you're not dealing with reality. And to have emotional intelligence is to be able to deal with the reality of your emotions inside. It is the capacity to be aware of, control, and express one's emotions and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. Emotional intelligence is a concept researchers came up with in the 1980s and 90s to explain why intelligent people often do really stupid things. I love that quote. The argument went the same way that the same way your general intelligence or your IQ is a measurement of your ability to process information and come to sound decisions, your emotional intelligence is your ability to process emotions, both yours and others, and to come to sound decisions. So I'm going to give you 4 points on how you can become more emotionally intelligent with, and that's what I'm going to end with right here, okay? Number one, self-awareness. Experiencing what you're feeling and understanding why you're feeling it. Experiencing, that doesn't mean expressing. Please hear the difference. Expressing is letting it all out. Experiencing it is acknowledging it, that it's true, okay? And allowing yourself to experience it on the inside. Okay, we're going to get to the outside and what we do on the outside. But it's not just letting it all out. But it's not stuffing it down and saying, oh, I'm fine. You ever ask somebody, hey, you okay, man? You all right? Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. I know my wife says, honey, are you mad at me? I'm like, no. Liar. That I am mad. I just don't want to say anything. Well, some people, they don't even understand that they're mad. All of a sudden, they just start acting out. They start acting out of that anger towards their kids. And all of a sudden, you're being mean to your kids because you're angry at your boss. Are you with me? And that is not being self-aware. So self-awareness, number 1, become more self-aware. Number 2, raising your emotional intelligence. Self-regulation. You're able to control the expression of your feelings without suppressing them. So you can experience them, but you are able to control them. In other words, I'll tell a story on myself. When I was a young man, I had 2 kids, so that was like forever ago. I was a young man, and this guy was riding my butt on the freeway. You know what I'm saying? And I'm speeding up to try to get out of his way, and he's blinking his lights on and off, and he's riding my butt. Well, now he's making me mad. I'm trying to get out of his way, but I don't have anywhere to go. I can't, press the fly button on, whatever that cartoon I used to watch. Speed Racer. I can't press the fly button on Speed Racer's car, okay? So I'm trying to get over, and then finally, he makes me so mad, I just slow down. And now I'm getting at him, right? I'm paying him back, and I'm getting at him. That's the expression that I learned to control. Do you know why I learned to control that? Because he shot at our car with my 2 kids in there and my wife. So he pulled that gun and he shot at us. So for the next, a long time, when someone would ride me or cut me off or whatever, I would just oh well. Because I had this memory, that guy could have a gun. So I was able to control my emotions instead of, putting on the brakes or stomping on the gas or, giving dirty looks or giving people the bird. I don't think I ever did that. But you know what I'm saying? Instead of doing that, I didn't do anything. Suddenly, I had control over my emotions. Okay, self-regulation, to be able to control one's emotional expression. Number 3, empathy. Empathy. Empathy is the ability to get inside the skin of another person and see things from their perspective. It's gaining understanding of their point of view. It doesn't mean that you're weak or that you cry. It means that you gain understanding. It doesn't even mean that you agree with somebody, but you get in their head and you're like, oh, I could see how you feel that. I could see how you have come to that conclusion. I still don't agree with your conclusion, but I understand. And that brings the last thing you can do, which is social skills. Your ability to deal with other people and resolve conflict. Because if you can't deal with other people in an honest way, then you'll never be able to resolve the conflict. And your emotional intelligence, even though you can do all the other things, so what? So you're better for yourself, but you're not a part of the community or your family or anything else. And that's just dumb. It's dumb. So you've got to develop good social skills in order to have conflict that inevitably, we all have conflict. We will have conflict, and to resolve that conflict. Notice I said resolve the conflict, not sweep it under the rug, because that doesn't resolve anything. That just takes your emotions and you're stuffing them instead of dealing with what you're dealing with. Sometimes they need to be just told, hey, this isn't that big a deal. I don't need to have a big sit down with somebody. Other times you need to say, hey, you know what, that kind of hurt me. What you said right there, that hurt, that stung. And if they don't respond well, that's up to them. I'm not responsible for their response. I'm responsible for trying to connect with them. That's my social skills. And now my self-regulation, when they say, it's no big deal. I mean, why'd you even get offended at that? Man, you got to get tougher skin. Now it's self-regulation, right? I experience it on the inside. I'm self-aware that what they just said made me angry. And I am regulated, so I don't even respond. Because why? Why would I respond? They're being a fool. So I let God deal with fools. I don't answer a fool according to his folly. I think that's in the Proverbs somewhere. So I hope that is helpful, those 4 things: self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and social skills. Write those down. Take them to God, and the next time you're praying, and just say, hey, God, how do I do on these things? Reveal to me and help me, okay? Next week, we'll talk about stress, because all of these toxic emotions cause a stress reaction in their body that's killing you if you have it, all right? This is Terry for Total Life Pursuit. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.